Gentlemen, what is good? I promised you a follow-up video to the last video that I did, basically talking about how if your wife is unmarriageable. I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. In that first video, I talked about if you have difficulties in your marriage, it might be because, and I said it's likely because your wife is unmarriageable. And I said likely because I would say the majority of women today are, for a number of reasons, and that's because of the gynocentric social order. And as you guys know, if you follow this channel, you'll understand that I follow the red pill community, and I get a lot of my influence from that. But I also have a theological background. I also have a pretty extensive background in philosophy, theology, mental health, and I don't really talk a whole lot about my background sets. And I probably should let you guys know a little bit about where I'm coming from on these things, on these issues. And I have a pretty extensive background. More importantly, I've come from a mental health background where I've worked in mental health for the last several years. Prior to that, I came back from a theological background where I did work. I went to seminary. I actually worked in church ministry. I graduated from seminary. And so with those knowledge, especially with theology, it gives you like a heavy philosophical background. You'll see a lot of these books behind me. A lot of these books are deeply philosophical, complicated to understand. There's a lot of books back there like Immanuel Kant, Paul Tillich, other guys. You'll see Rollo Tomasi's books are back there. A whole bunch of Abraham Joshua Heschel back there. Søren Kierkegaard I got back there. All types of books that I read. So you know that I'm not completely... I come with this channel with knowledge, and I know you guys aren't watching these right now, watching my content because of how great my video editing is, because I'll tell you, there isn't any video editing that goes on. It's just me recording and then giving you content based off of the top of my head. But I wanted to give you guys a quick 3-point sermon that from the great Presbyterian minister I never became, on a follow-up to the video about what to do when your wife is unmarriageable, okay? And the first point is very important, and this comes out of the Rollo Tomasi playbook, and I believe it's in one of his books. Yeah, it's in his book. He talks about it all the time in his videos. Is what you want to do is you want to break up with your wife in your mind. Literally break up with her. And what that consists of is not giving in to her demands, or at least withdrawing eye contact, right? Leaving the house for a few hours, going to the gym. I recommend you doing that. Literally have more time for yourself. Don't worry about meeting her demands when she complains about things. Just understand that's who she is. And don't worry about fixing her. That's another thing. Don't worry about fixing or creating solutions for her. You just let it be, okay? The other thing is you want to interact with other women. Okay, so you want to break up with her in her mind. It's okay to flirt with other women, and I made a video about the importance of flirting with other women. You need reassurance. Your wife needs to know that you can have another woman, and the best way for her to know that is that you know that. And the best way for you to know that is for you to be interacting with other women, okay? And you're going to have to be attractive from other women in order for that to happen, or at least learn how to make yourself that way, and that's a possible thing to do, okay? The other point, and the second point that I'm going to give you guys today is you got to go to the gym. Go to the gym. You have to work out. It could be a dojo, it could be a CrossFit gym, which I do, and CrossFit gets shit on. I've seen a lot of guys in the manosphere shit on CrossFit. I don't know why. I've seen great results in CrossFit, and I've had a great time. I know there are a lot of chicks that go to CrossFit gyms, but you have to remember that CrossFit does a really good job at masculinizing the shit out of women. And if men do it right, it does a great job at masculinizing men too. So there's that. There's a suggestion on my part. But you have to work out, and you got to do it on a regular basis. I also recommend you taking supplements. There's a great website that I've been taken from. It's called Swole AF Labs. Swole as fuck labs.com. I've put this in another video. This is a sample product. Do not buy shit from GNC. It's garbage. Amazon, you could buy creatine. You'll find some stuff on Amazon, but go to swoleaflabs.com and You'll find stuff. Remember, they have to call it experimental. That's the best way. I'm gonna stop saying I've been saying this in like the last how many videos. I'm gonna try my best here, but just remember that if they call it research or experimental, it's effective, and they're trying to legally get around not being banned. And there's a lot of that shit out there that's really effective. And these websites say it's research. You do your own research. When you try these things, you're probably in the right area, okay? And then I just gave you a recommendation. That's point number 2. Point number 3 is read. You have to read. Be a reader, okay? Read your Bible, which I do. Read books like The Rational Male. Read other books. You know, Richard Cooper has a fantastic book. The Unplugged Alpha is a great introduction to the Red Pill. I purchased David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. Been reading through that. God Assad, Gad Assad, whatever his name is, who Rolla really loves. I ordered his book, The Parasitic Mind. It's like right above me. You can see it right there, the yellow one, right there. Okay, been reading through that. Reading is going to be something that's so fundamental to you. And I also want to add with reading is you want to be watching YouTube content. Especially if any of the people you're reading are on YouTube, watch their content. It's something that we don't talk about today, but one of the great things about Rollo Tomassi is you can read his books, and his books are going to be definitive over the next decades at least. I really do believe, honestly, I'm not trying to dick eat him, which is a term for trying to sound like I'm, sucking his or trying to, anyway, I'm not trying to dick eat Rollo Tomassi, but his books, and I've read enough significant books like Immanuel Kant, John Locke, I've read Luther's works, I've read anything going back to like Plato, Aristotle. I'll tell you right now, I think in the next few hundred years from now, the main lesson of today, of 2021, of the last 200 years, maybe 150 years, is we didn't understand female nature and the significance of what that meant for how it affected Western civilization. Okay? I'm just throwing that out there. I think the lesson of today is understanding female nature. And the next lesson on top of that is going to be the ultimate lesson. And I don't think it ends with the Red Pill and Rollo Tomassi, and I don't think it ends with understanding female hypergamy. That's not where we're going. I think where it ends is with understanding ourselves as men. Okay, and this is where I'm going to be talking about a man named Rene Girard, and I think that's a good starting point to figure out what he talks about mimetic desire and how we overcome that. And I think throughout history, we as men have learned to deal with that, and we've been dealing with our own desires, and it was with our own human nature. I mean, that's where I think the greatest thing that Western civilization gave us was an intellectual approach on how to deal with our almost as men with our own primitive desires, because our own primitive wants, our own primitive behaviors, because women and who they are in their female hypergamy, they've basically had to learn to adapt to men. That's what's been going on for our entire existence. And it's men and what we've done, and I'm not blaming men, and I'm not saying we are men. Okay, and men create civilizations. They create patriarchies and they create matriarchies. They allow for gynocentric social orders to happen, and that's what's happened because we have become very comfortable in our Western civilization, and we, to the point where men have created such a great civilized world that we kind of just gave in to this and to that and to that and to this and to the feminists and their suffrage movements in the 1800s and all this stuff, and to women's credit, they've figured out how to ultimately do what they need to do as far as solving their own reproductive needs, as far as taking care of themselves, taking care of the sisterhood. And women, that's where we've gotten today, and it's to the demise of our civilization. And this is a problem. So it sounds like I'm ranting, but I'm up to 10 minutes. That's the third part is read, watch YouTube. Okay, you can. I recommend you watch Rollo's videos, read Rollo's books, read books in general. There's lots of. That's a good starting point there. Read the old philosophy. Read modern liberal thought. Anything after the Enlightenment. Immanuel Kant, John Locke, who influenced David Hume, who influenced Immanuel Kant. Those are a really good starting point. Or at least read about people that know about them. My professor, John Wilson, at seminary had a really good book about modern theology, and I think I've shown it somewhere around there. Really just does a good job at pointing out, the basics on understanding these guys. You want to find books like that can give you that, because their stuff has been translated from German to English, and it's thick, okay? But you want to get a good grasp as to where we are and how we've gotten here, okay? And that's it. That's my point, and I want to keep this video short, but I will be coming out with another point on what you can do about if your woman is unmarriageable. And I know it seems like these points that I point out are like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Just remember Mr. Miyagi and Karate Kid. The Karate Kid did not understand what wax on, wax off meant until punches were thrown at them. So point number 1, break up with her in your mind. Point number 2, work out. And point number 3, read your Bible. The Bible's dope, man. I don't care what anyone says. The Bible's dope. Read it, because it's complex. It's very complex, and it will challenge your ideological perspectives in life if you really truly seek out your own interdependent personality, interpretation, your own personal hermeneutic on the scriptures. Do it, I dare you. Just remember, I only offer you the truth. That's healing up nicely. It's from Pull-Ups, by the way. Bam. All right, and read other books that are really beneficial to you. So, all right, that's it. That's my little rant here, my 3-point sermon on part 1 as to what to do when your wife is unmarriageable. Peace.